What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So if you've been following the channel for a little while, you know that I've started posting some short form videos of me visiting as many parkour parks, parkour gyms and parkour spots as possible. And today we're at a new parkour park. We're at the Littlehampton Parkour Park, and whilst making one of these short videos here today, I thought I might try and make a long form video, kind of see how that goes. The short form content can be limiting sometimes because there's a lot to talk about at these parks. So let's go and explore this parkour park. I'm going to tell you what's good, what's bad, and should you train here. So let's start with the positives. I know this parkour park is quite small, but I do really think that there is a lot of opportunities for individuals to try and learn new things here. There's a big rail setup that kind of goes a little bit in the middle, but it kind of curves mostly around the outside, and the rails aren't too high. What you'll find at some parkour parks is the rails are really high, and it's quite intimidating for new people who are starting parkour to train on them. And of course, if you've got a young child who is coming to the park, maybe they want to explore trying parkour, having those really high rails is quite unsafe for them and it's quite intimidating. So what's really good here is the rails are nice and low. There's the opportunity to work on your laches, your underbars, your swing through, and it also gives some different opportunities to navigate around the park as well. So you can see an area like this, for example, there's a really nice underbar vault through area here, but if this is too intimidating for you, there is a big gap at the side which you can also do it on. But you'll see here that there's a nice little window here for you to practice those underbars on quite a big space. Next to it as well, you can see that there's kind of like an underbar swing through precision element, and if you wanted to, you could go over the top of the rail as well. I think for those starting parkour and those young people that want to get into it, a rail setup like this is perfect because it's not too far off the ground. It's not going to take them to height really quickly. It gives them the opportunity to kind of come in and experiment with different elements of parkour. I do really like this window here. It is quite big, but it gives you the option to underbar, to swing through, to roll through. Tons of opportunities there. Behind me here, you'll see some of the rail setup. This one here is relatively quite high. I don't know if you can see that on the video. This is quite high. So for someone who's just starting parkour, this is going to be really intimidating. But right next to it, you do have a lower setup here. Now, if you're a child, this is going to be the perfect height to practice your laches, and it kind of curves all the way around. I'm sure the skaters here would really enjoy this kind of rail setup, but you've got opportunities for underbars, like twisting through. If you're obviously a smaller child, that's going to be a lot better. But then obviously it opens up as you go down as well. So one of my favorite things about this park is this little platform setup here. It's very similar to the one that you'll find at the Slough Parkour Park, and this kind of helps you connect a lot of the other bits of the park together. If you're a bit more experienced with parkour, there's loads of opportunities up here for new rail prees. There's some really nice precision down to the lower walls, and there's a really good opportunity to practice different sort of low impact, twisty, flowy stuff around this bit here. Gives you the opportunity to work on some of the movements down here. There's a lot of opportunities on this as well. I do think it's a little limiting, but it's one of my favorite parts in this park. Right, so what's some of the negatives of this parkour park? It is very small, so it is very limited. It's one of the smaller parkour parks that I've visited in the UK so far. You'll find parkour parks around a similar size like Paddington Rec in London, for example, but that has a lot more within the setup compared to this park here. I do think that the small setup means that your session is going to be relatively short. It's not going to be long at all, and it's also covered in grass. So what you'll find at a lot of parkour parks is the floor is kind of impact flooring. It's that black spongy flooring that when it gets wet isn't that bad to move around on. Whereas with this one, because it's grass, if it rains overnight, the grass is going to be damp. It might hold that wetness for a few days. Now, one of the things here that doesn't make much sense is this rail setup here. I don't know if it's a structural thing, but it's underneath the platform here. I guess you could try and do some swing throughs underneath here. Maybe you're trying to roll through the gap or underneath it, but it just feels like that this is here, I think, to help individuals climb onto the platform rather than being a part of the park, which is really going to help that practice and that training. So the big question, would I recommend coming to this parkour park? And I think that totally depends on what it is you want to do. The park is quite small and it is quite limiting, so I don't think your session here is going to be that long. With that being said, there's a lot of opportunities to learn different things here. There's a couple of swings, there's a couple of rail setups, there's a few connections here that I really want to work on that I probably wouldn't have done if I wasn't at this park. So because this park is so small and it's in a public place, Obviously, you're not going to be the only individuals here. What you'll find with parkour parks is sometimes young kids will want to come, they want to climb on things, they want to experiment, which they absolutely should. But because this park is so small, I can imagine it would get quite crowded very quickly. And with it becoming crowded, I do think there's going to be some risks that come with that. You know, if it's after school, for example, if there's a school down the road and they come out, a lot of kids are going to be here when you're trying to train. And unfortunately, kids are unpredictable. You don't know if they're going to run in the way or jump. You don't know if, as you swing through, one will randomly appear right in front of you. So I do think it's a park to visit on more quieter times. But it's also quite out the way. It's a 20-minute walk from the Littlehampton station. There are a couple of spots kind of nearby, but I wouldn't plan your day around coming to this park. So guys, I think that pretty much wraps up this visit to this parkour park. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you think of the longer form content of this style of video. It's quite nice to kind of explore the parks in a bit more detail. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend planning your day around this parkour park, but if you're in the area, you might as well come down and get a little session in. Please let me know what you thought of the video and subscribe and like to the channel if you're new around here. Take care guys, train safe, and I'll see you in the next video.